Internet, Eric here. I am continuing my journey through the Predator franchise, and last video, if you watched, I pretty much gushed and blew the original movie. I love it so much. It is in my top 3 movies of all time. Today, I'm going to discuss what I consider, and a handful of people in my little circle of YouTubers believe is an underrated and at times underappreciated sequel, Predator 2. If you're new to my channel, welcome. I discuss plot, spoilers, specific scenes, yada, yada, yada. I believe this came out in 1990, takes place in Los Angeles, 1997. And the basic plot is we are following Danny Glover and his team of police. I don't know if they're detectives or what have you, but, beat cops, I guess you would say. And it is gangland warfare in Los Angeles during an insane heat wave. Everyone's going fucking nuts, and that's when one of the predators decides to start hunting. And basically, it's Danny Glover versus the Predator, with Gary Busey and his government agents or government buddies or whatever you wouldn't call them. They've been doing their own hunting. They have been hunting and studying the Predator, and they want to take him back. And Danny Glover's investigations into these murders, air quotes, are interfering with Busey's plans. I absolutely love this one too. It was directed by Stephen Hopkins, who directed another, in my opinion, underappreciated horror movie. He directed Nightmare on Elm Street 5, The Dream Child, which I have defended on this channel. And from what I heard, the reason why he got Predator 2, he got the job for Predator 2 is because of how fast he was able to get Nightmare on Elm Street 5 done. And let's just say, again, this is a really fun movie, in my opinion. Different than how a Nightmare on Elm Street 5 would be fun. But anyway, let's get to the cast. Danny Glover is, how would I say this? He's scary. He's intimidating at parts. You don't want to mess with him. He's not, how would you say it? He's playing Murtaugh, I guess you would say, on a really, really bad fucking day. And he is not too old for this shit. He is kind of like a mixture of Murtaugh and Mister from Color Purple. And what I mean by that reference is so intimidating, so scary. It's his way or the highway type of thing. And he will do what he needs to do to get his job done. He's got great chemistry with everybody in his crew. You believe that him and Ruben Blades, Danny Boy, are best friends. And what I like about this is everyone on his team respects him. So through his performance, Danny Glover commands and earns the respect of his team. Ruben Blades, I said, as Danny Boy, his best friend, great acting. He's always good. Again, his loyalty you buy. I like whenever he seems freaked out, or not really freaked out, but mesmerized by when they find some bodies, and just like his wide-eyed look, believable. Maria Conchita Alonso, who I love in The Running Man, she's okay in this. Not awful, not great, but she's likable. She doesn't put up with bullshit with the new team member, who I will get to. So she does a fine job. Gary Busey is Gary Busey. He's not crazy yet. He is not, the Gary Busey of now. He is still, this was 1990, so this was around, I don't know if he had his accident yet, but this was around like Point Break. Okay, so he's still a very good actor. And again, he is kind of like, he's the yin to Danny Glover's yang. Like, he is my way or the highway. I'm going to get this job done. I don't care who I sacrifice. But he's doing it for the research. But you can't trust this guy. You can trust Danny Glover. You can't fucking trust Gary Busey. But he great performance. Gary might be a crazy man now, but back then he always put in good performances. Even in like awful movies like Silver Bullet, he's good here. The new member of the, I guess you would say, of the squad, Danny Glover squad, is Bill Paxton. And everybody loves Bill Paxton. He was a fantastic actor, no matter whether it was comedy, drama, action. He was always usually one of the most memorable characters. He's one of the most memorable characters here. At first, I didn't like him. He's the new recruit. He's a smart ass. He makes these jokes. He does all these one-liners. At times, it can be grating. It took a few viewings to get used to him. I no longer dislike him, but he's not one of the best characters. And I think that was what he was going for, because the character he's playing is kind of obnoxious, annoying, you know, respects his team, but he's just there to be like a jackass, and he does his job. Bill Paxton does. So you're either going to like him or you're going to hate him. And at first, I hated him. He's kind of warmed up to me, but he's still not the. He's not. He's annoying. I'll say that he'll probably get on your nerves. But whatever. I think after as many good performances as Bill had, he's allowed to let one slide. The only other really character to mention is Morton Downey Jr. And Morton Downey Jr. basically plays himself. If you don't know who Morton Downey Jr. he was like another version of Jerry Springer, trash TV, controversy, blah, blah, blah. And he's playing himself, trying to get, the top ratings during all these murders and gangland warfare and the usual stuff. Perfect asshole, and he does his job. So overall, the cast is great. The Predator, Kevin Peter Hall, is still great at using his body language, his movement. The look of the Predator is like an upgrade. And I like how we get to see the Predators are different. He's got some ridges on the top of the front of his forehead. His voice is a little different when he's trying to impersonate some people. He seems like he speaks a little English when they redo the "you're one ugly motherfucker" line, because he doesn't do it in anyone else's voice. He does it in like a guttural voice. So if he learned how to speak English, he learned the perfect word. We get upgrades in his weapons instead of just the shoulder cannon, which he still puts to good use. What else did he have in the original? He pretty much just had the shoulder cannon in the original and the wrist blade. In this, he's got those. He's got a big, gigantic spear. He's got like a disc that he throws that's double-sided, with blades. He's got a really cool. My favorite weapon is like he's got like a spider web net that he shoots on people, and it traps them to the wall. And what it does is it slowly tightens until it like cuts into their body. So a fantastic upgrade in the Predator. And what's also cool with this entry is we finally get to see what's on the inside of the Predator spaceship. Eventually, towards in the finale, when it's pretty much just Danny Glover left, he's following this Predator, and he makes it onto the ship where the ship has been hiding under the city, and we get to see how vast and huge the ship is. It's so easy to get lost. You know what I mean? I like that. And we get to see the trophy case. We get to see, I believe it's a dinosaur skull, a human skull. We get to see an alien skull, which is interesting, because if you know the alien creature, they don't have skeletons. It's like an exoskeleton. Doesn't matter. It's a cool nod. 20th Century Fox put it in there. It's one of those, hey, look at that moment. And we get to see other Predators. When I'll talk about that scene later. The gore. Gore is still good. We still get, oh, you know what? Let me think about this. The gore isn't as bad in this one, I don't think. I mean, we still get bodies hung up, but this time they're not really skinned. We get to see one person shot with a shoulder cannon, but you really don't really get to see his guts blow out. It's more a weird sparkly effect. We get some people stabbed with with his spear, but it's to the side. We see it happen, but we don't see any blood. It's still violent as hell, but it's not gory, I guess you would say. I think the goriest part in this movie is probably when the Predator has to do some surgery on himself. That happened in the first one. He got shot in the leg and he had to get the bullet out and stuff like that. In this, and it's a great scene, Danny Glover is chasing the Predator on the top of a skyscraper. Like I said, they're in Los Angeles. And this is after a really cool scene, how it's like gridlock in the middle of the night, and you just see the Predator invisible jumping on the roofs of different like cars and stuff, and you get to see like the imprint, the foot impression coming down through the roof as he's leaping on car to car and jumping on a ladder to get to the top of the building. And then Danny Glover chases him. They have a really cool fight, and then eventually Danny knocks the Predator off the roof, but his momentum takes him off the roof too. So Danny's laying on the side of the roof. The Predator is got his metal disc stuck in the wall, the side of the building, and he's also hanging onto Danny Glover's arm. And Danny Glover, like I said, he doesn't take no shit. He, in classic Hardigan, I think is his name, lines, he says, "Okay, pussy face, it's your move." And then the Predator says, "Shit happens." So he's going to set up the bomb. He's going to blow everybody up. Danny Glover takes the disc out and slices the Predator in the arm, cuts his arm off. So the Predator falls into the bathroom of a person, across the way. And he does some surgery where he has to basically cauterize his wound. And it leads to a funny bit with the people who live there. But that's pretty much the goriest part in this movie. If I'm missing something, please remind me. Other than when the Predator dies, like during the final battle or the final confrontation, I'll get to that now. Danny Glover wins. Like they're playing, they're kind of sword fighting. Danny has the disc, and the Predator has his wrist blade. And they're chink chink. They're doing that stuff, and then Danny takes the blade, shoves it into the Predator's chest, and then just squeezes on, like it's got like little, I guess you say, hand grips. Squeezes on that I guess make the blades spin or just do more damage, and you have the Predator screaming this guttural, horrible scream, and we still see like the neon green blood, and then Danny just rips the blade out. Blood shoots everywhere, but that's about the bloodiest here. The bloodiest moment you would see in this film. It's super fucking violent, but it's not necessarily gory. And that's okay because the violence in this works. But to get to this final confrontation, I like how after Danny kills this Predator and he's on the fucking ship, suddenly we get the laser sights on him. And then we have at least, 4 or 5 other Predators just staring at him. The score is so cool when they just appear out of nowhere, out of thin air because they were invisible. Watching this fight happen. And that score just it raises when they show up, and it's so good. And then Danny looks around. He knows he's fucked. So he just, like a pimp, drops the blade and says, "Okay, who's next?" But what happens is the Predators pick up the fallen warrior, they take him away, and as they're all disappearing, you have, I guess you would say, the leader. I mean, we're assuming he's the leader. He's got a necklace and he's playing with it and thinking. He pulls out a gun and he tosses it to Danny Glover out of respect, I guess you would say, because he killed one of them. And he says, "Take it." And Danny looks at the date and it says 1715. So that says how long these creatures have been coming to Earth, at least. Does it show that these guys have a long lifespan? I don't know. But it's cool to see that they have been here for that long. And then after Danny escapes, and then Busey's right-hand man shows up because Busey was taken out in a really cool fight in like a meat locker or a meat factory, I guess you would say, for like beef, where they hang the slabs of cow and stuff like that. He shows up. He's like, "Damn it, Hardigan, we almost had it." And then again, Hardigan, like a badass, he holds up his gun. The gun that the Predator gave him. He says, "Don't worry, asshole. You'll get another chance," showing that they'll come back. This is a great movie. I really, really enjoy it. It's hard to follow up the original. I think that's what the problem is. It's hard to follow up how awesome Predator was. Very rare is, it's commonplace. The sequel is very rarely better than the original. Because the original is so good. Very rare. I mean, we have Aliens, which I prefer over the original. We have Empire Strikes Back, and so on. I prefer the original Terminator over Terminator 2, but very rarely will. There are a lot of people think The Dark Knight is better. I like Batman Begins more, but it's very hard to follow up an original, especially the original, like Predator. And Predator 2 is great in its own ways. Overall, great characters. Bill Paxton, notwithstanding, like I said, you'll like him, you'll hate him. I love how the government's involved. Gary Busey's team and that scene where they're all taken out is great. Love the ending. Love we get upgrades in the Predator look, upgrades in the Predator weapon. not a lot of gore, but that's okay because this movie is super violent. It's rated R for extreme violence. For count how many times they drop the F bomb. You know, take a shot every time, you'll get fucking drunk. Um, it starts off like when Hardigan has to rescue some downed police officers. During a shootout with some drug lords. It's so fucking badass the way he rides that car, and I'll leave it at that. I won't get into it, but King Willie, how the Predator takes out King Willie, and the way it's edited, and King Willie is this voodoo practicing drug lord, and you have this cool build up to him versus the Predator, and then it's over like that, and the way you find out that King Willie lost is edited great, and then we get to see how the Predator cleans the skulls and puts it on display. So many good upgrades in the Predator character and lore. Doesn't hold a candle to the original, but what the fuck could. However, like Nightmare on Elm Street 5, Stephen Hopkins hit it out of the park, in my opinion, with Predator 2. Sadly underrated, underappreciated, great cast, great everything. So I highly recommend you give Predator 2 a chance. So that said, like and subscribe, click the bell, comment below, tell me your thoughts on Predator 2, whether you like it, whether you don't, all that jazz. Tell me, am I wrong on Bill Paxton? Did you like him from the beginning? Do you still fucking hate him after watching it 5 times? I didn't want to trash him, and I did my best not to, but it was rough. So that's it. Predators and The Predator coming, and a whole bunch of other stuff I'm not going to commit to because who knows what's going on with YouTube and whenever I'll be able to post. But till then, I've rambled enough. Check out Predator 2. Cheers.